Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Geneva. My name is Michael McKay, and we're here for the beginning of a brand new show. It's a collaboration between Swiss Style magazine and Dukascopy TV. This morning we're going to be talking on the 20th anniversary of this impressive magazine. Believe me, 20 years in the business is an impressive number. And we're talking this morning about the luxury and upscale cosmetics business sector. And I've got in the studio with me two eminent people in that business sector. We're very lucky to have people of this quality and this experience who've come to spend some time with us this morning in Geneva. And I'm going to go straight into an introduction. We have Madam Elizabeth Metzger, who's the CEO of Clarins, if my pronunciation is correct, in Switzerland, and Monsieur Thierry Hutin, who's the CEO of Hermès Switzerland. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Welcome. Thanks for coming this morning.
Thank you.
As we kick off, just help us with a definition of what really goes into this phrase that we tend to use, we being, if you like, the uninitiated, the people who don't know the detail of your kind of business. We talk about luxury, we talk about upscale. What goes into that? What products are they? Watches or handbags? Or what's in there?
Well, let me speak about our industry, the cosmetic industry. The cosmetic industry, of course, as you know, it's a huge industry, and we have different sectors. And one sector is the upscale, the selective distribution of cosmetics, and the definition is where these products are sold. These products are sold through department stores, through perfumeries, and this is why and we have normally a contract with the retailers, and of course, and we are comparing ourselves in this selective distribution of cosmetics. You find all the upscale brands like Estée Lauder, Lancôme, Dior, etc.
These are the same.
Yeah, this is the same, and we are comparing each other. This is our market, and we are comparing with this market. And of course, there's also a price policy. Of course, these are upscale prices. Yeah. But well, this is our cosmetic market. Of course, very often I'm asked, "Are you in luxury business?" And then I say, "What is luxury?" There are so many definitions about luxury. Is luxury quality? Is luxury rarity? Is luxury just having pleasure? So I tend to is luxury price? So many definitions. My definition is having pleasure.
Yes.
And quality.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Hutin, tell us, what do you regard as being in this basket of luxury?
Well, Monsieur Jean-Louis Dumas, the former CEO of Hermès, used to say, "I don't know what is luxury."
Okay.
He considered himself, and Hermès considered himself as designing, manufacturing, developing objects of the highest quality, right, with a very specific usage. Yeah. So you see, quality, of course, would remain the main characteristic with on my perspective. I think the truth maybe is being yourself. Remain true to what you are as a brand, and as your identity, as your DNA, as we say. I would suggest that the best definition of luxury.
And now we have an idea, although you've not really given me an idea of what's in that basket. I mean, when I think of these categories, I think of obviously watches, I think of certain kinds of motor cars, I think of obviously of haute couture, you think of cosmetics. But frankly, when I look at some of these wonderful glossy magazines today, the range seems to be getting bigger and bigger, and clearly the quality is higher, or else people wouldn't buy it.
Well, the range, I would say we are staying with the same products. The brands are becoming, because everybody's going in this market. Yeah. But as you said, you have watches, you have got cars, you have got dresses, all the fashion, you have the leather goods, you have cosmetics. Models,
hospitality, I think you should mention as well. Hospitality,
I mean, the hotel
business, even first class, cruises. First class with with the airline can consider as a luxury as well in a way in terms of the service.
It's an impossible question because many of your companies in your sector are privately owned. But how big are we talking? I mean, how big is the sector in sort of monetary terms? I mean, in terms of international business, what sort of money are we talking about for the luxury sector? Do you have any idea?
I don't want to pronounce me on the one figure. I don't know. Well, we know in France, luxury business is one of the most important export.
Well, yeah, I believe it's one. I mean, if we include cosmetics in it, especially, you know, if you consolidate cosmetics and luxury good, surely it's one of the biggest driver of export.
Would it be true to say then that Europe, despite the growth in Asia, China, India, that Europe still basically holds the position of being the key markets for these sorts of products, or is North America of a similar size? Or have we been overtaken by the Chinese now?
You mean in terms of consumption?
Yeah, consumption, yeah.
Well, it's pretty balanced, in fact. You know, funny enough, Europe remained very, very strong, being based both on the local consumer, local customers, but also, of course, driven by the visitors, by the international visitors going into Europe and fascinated by all the brands originated from France, from Italy, or England, and even Switzerland, you know, for that matter. And obviously desperate to have a chance to encounter, you know, the source of the brand. So, you know, both drivers make this area still very, very strong in terms of retail.
Is that the same in your kind of business? Women would come here to experiment and to use and to buy, or not necessarily?
Well, let's say, I agree that, I agree. In our cosmetic market, 50% is also done in Europe. So in our company, even more. We are very, very Europe-oriented. We have 60% market share in Europe. Again, I think buying, yes, we have got tourists coming and buying the products they know. Yeah. They will know, they won't buy new products. They will buy products which are already known in their countries. This is why it's very important to be known in the countries, and then, of course, these tourists are buying. Sure. They are buying, of course, lots in duty-free and in the department stores in London and in Switzerland. I would say that tourism, the money coming from tourists, is rather small.
Okay. Well, that leads me into my next question, which is essentially the question that comes to all people who are doing business in Switzerland and working, obviously, and consolidating in the Swiss franc. Is this is a mixed blessing? Is it not the case that the strong Swiss franc has made Swiss business even more efficient, or is it just a headache that you would rather not have?
Well, it's been a major headache, especially 2 years ago at the peak of the crisis. I think it was August 2011, if I'm not mistaken, when we had almost parity. It was very difficult in terms, you know, as a retailer, obviously, we are buying in euro and we are retailing in Swiss francs. So yes, the comparison with the retail price in euro was very, very negative at that time. And then it creates a negative perception. You know, even if the reality has changed dramatically in the past 2 years, meaning that we have not increased our price or we have even decreased some of our retail price, in the mindset of the customer, especially the international customer, Switzerland remains a very expensive destination. So it's difficult to, you know, to counter this perception, this negative perception.
But isn't that counterintuitive? I would have thought that in the luxury sector, the higher the price, in a way, the more pain you inflict upon people by charging them for this very good thing, this very good item, the more they might like it in a perverse kind of way. Is that not the case? That the prices
they don't want to, but they don't want to buy the same product at a different price in one country and the other. Okay. I think this is...
that's an important distinction.
Especially in Geneva, where you have the proximity of France, you know, where all the retailers, the chains...
So they can see quite easily the difference.
Absolutely. Sure. And they're very savvy. If we are talking about the international customers, they are very savvy customers. They know exactly what they want, so they check the prices beforehand. They always come with the calculators and they compare prices. And definitely there is competition out there in Europe, and Switzerland is not the most competitive place to buy luxury goods for these international customers. But of course, it doesn't affect our local customers, you know, because the price is not affected in absolute value in Swiss franc, in terms of purchasing power.
Because we're living with it.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's another effect, unfortunately. Well, we lived. I lived this August 2011 in a very, very hard way, because remember the different articles at this time and saying all these international companies, they should reduce prices, and we are just gaining money on Swiss franc, etc.
Yes.
But again, the problem we have now, we fight now against these 2 years. It's not only that we don't have international customers, but the local customer, they don't buy in Switzerland anymore. You just remember that in Switzerland you have got 60% of the population lives nearer than half an hour to one of the European border. Right. So this is this expert going out and buying less expensive. Yeah. This is really a problem we have to fight on.
So now you've brought me very gently into the question I wanted to ask you about the special nature of doing business in a small country, a very discerning country, a very wealthy country, but with 4 languages plus English, so you could in a way say 5 languages, with multicultural communities in Geneva, in Zurich, in Basel to a lesser extent. I mean, are there special characteristics about this kind of market compared, say, with the France or with the Germany or with an Italy, in your experience, or even in the UK where you were?
Well, with regards to our business, which is a top-end luxury business, it's very much related to one perspective. We do the same thing everywhere in the world. Being in China, being in Japan, being in the States, we offer the same products, and the stores, we offer the same service. So we don't try to differentiate ourselves from one country to another.
So people go to you rather than you come to them.
Exactly. We are not in a marketing strategy, so to speak, whereby we try to understand the needs of the customer to adapt and to adjust ourselves to these needs. We really offer them, what we believe are the highest quality product with, the very clever design, the most beautiful design. And we try to seduce them wherever they are. Now, the nature of the business here, yes, is very specific, because comparing London to Switzerland, UK is London basically. So all the business is driven within London, whereas here, as you said, it's very diverse and it's very disseminated throughout the country. So yes, we have to understand the mentality, the expectation of each customer, and we do have what we call a multi-local strategy, which means multi-local strategy.
Tell us briefly about that, please.
Well, just trying to understand, the culture, the expectation, what the customer is looking for, and we do, within the huge range that we offer, we do buy for these customers, because each store actually buy for his customers.
And is there a big difference between what he's saying with products basically that you carry or you wear, compared with what you do, which is make products which you put on in a different way? Or is it similar?
Well, I liked your expression of multi-local strategy. I will use it.
Can you do that?
Yeah. Can I?
She has to, because the skin are very different in China and in Europe. That's for sure.
Yeah, but multi-local it's true, because well, in our perhaps just for your information, I'm a wholesaler. And Thierry is a retailer, so I don't own I've got a couple of spas, but normally our clients are retailers, department stores, etc. So of course for us it's very important, and the structure of retailing is different in every part of Switzerland. And this is always very difficult for us to explain it to the headquarters and say, listen, we have got, it's not Switzerland, it's not French, because everybody in Paris thought that Switzerland is it's French speaking.
It's Romandie.
So it's Romandie. So it's true, we have to adapt our strategy to the different market. And starts with languages. In our company, everybody has to speak at least 2 languages.
Sure.
Well, ideally with Italian, but also Italy, Tessin is another country, another modality. So we have to adapt our marketing strategy to the different way. And of course, there's a cost factor also. Can you imagine all the material we are doing for the shops, the window decoration, and the logo, and so we have to do it in 3 languages.
And the cost base is high, but the cost units
and,
are quite small.
And also you have got clients which are only Swiss, German, or Swiss, etc. So you have to adapt.
Tell us a little bit, as we've got a Swiss audience, tell us a little bit about, without telling any stories that you shouldn't, the differences, surprising, even amusing, between the German-speaking part of Switzerland and the Romandie and the Tessinois. Or are you too discreet?
No, I'm not discreet. I would say I am perhaps the most objective person because I'm not Swiss.
Yeah, where are you from?
I'm Austrian.
You're from Austria, okay.
Well, I have got Swiss passport and I've been living
but
for a couple of years.
Austria.
But I think this is an advantage for me because I try to not be taking part of one. Because by definition, the French think they're better than the Swiss, and vice versa.
I thought the British felt they were better than everybody else.
Well, perhaps then we're going to the international scale.
Exactly. It's an international.
But no, I think the difference is the Swiss-German. The mentality is different. It's perhaps more precise. Less. They're going to the point. You have to seduce them in another way.
Okay.
Then I think seduction is different in every.
So the difference may be in if you like, in the bridging contact between the consumer, the customer, and you, rather than the items they might choose to buy. They're still buying basically the same mix.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But it's the way in which you interact with them that's different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at Bahnhofstrasse and looks at Rue du Rhône, and I think that would give you, in terms of retail, at least a pretty different picture. You know, whereas on one side you have a very lively retail street with many brands. You know, more, I would say, more outspoken in a way, more outspoken. Whereas in Geneva it's more discreet, and of course you have the weight as well of the watch and jewelry business in Rue du Rhône, which makes the setup a little bit different. I would say Zurich especially is more fashion driven. You know, they always want to see the latest seasons earlier than in Romandie, for instance. It's just small detail, but it gives you an idea of the way the customers behave differently in each area.
A question I wanted to ask you, given that we've been going through this tough recession, given that Switzerland has not suffered as much as its neighbours, how do you defend great brands when there are tough times? I mean, do you have to behave dramatically differently as owners and retailers or wholesalers of great trademarks in a recession? Or basically do you just steer the same course and just keep sailing for that horizon which you know eventually will come with the normal swings of recession and then out of recession? I mean, is there a different kind of behavior that you use, Madam Metzger?
I think we have to distinguish this recession and, for instance, our problem with the Swiss franc.
Okay, so clarify for me
the recession, as you said, 2008, Switzerland was not as concerned. So we didn't have to do a recession plan.
Right.
But we had to do, when we came to the Swiss francs problem, we had to do a plan B. And the plan B is very easy. Well, first you look what you can do on the pricing side. Of course, very important as a wholesaler, you don't fix the price. You give a price and the retailer, but you can help the retailer. So you do promotion strategies, but you don't want to change the product strategy. You don't want to devalue your product. But you try to help the retailer to go through this period and to give him the feeling that he is helped by the industry. But I would say it's not a strategy which is a recession strategy. It's just looking at the costs. Perhaps on the spending side you set priorities. but you won't do any concession on the products, of course. And in these periods, very often you get very good surprises also. So this is a little bit our.
And you come at it from a different perspective because of your retail.
Yes, absolutely. I would say a recession is can be a world of opportunity, actually. You know, because usually the strong gets stronger.
The guest in the studio this morning.
No, but it's true.
Be an opportunity?
Yeah. Because then I would say the weak get weaker and the strong get stronger in a way.
Okay, so Darwinian principles. So
if you really stick to what you are, you know, if you remain true to yourself and you remain very focused on your strategy, you know, without deviating because of the conjuncture, because you need to adapt, then I think you have a very strong opportunity. And talking about Hermès, obviously the brand is very reassuring, meaning that, you know, quality, long-lasting product, you know, a style which you know doesn't change. It's very reassuring for the customer. So I would say yes. I mean, in a way, a recession can be an opportunity. Of course, you have to be cautious. You have to be cautious on your cost basis. You have to. Your investment plan would be eventually, you know, less aggressive. But at the end, you know, it's an opportunity to be more visible because usually a lot of brands, as you say, you know, reduce the sale, and then you've got more opportunity to be visible in the magazines and the media. And you know, if you can just stick to what you are and you know, keep your way.
So if I ask you then to summarize 2 or 3 key do's and 2 or 3 key don'ts when doing business successfully in a recession, what would the 2 or 3 must-dos and the 2 or 3 don't-dos be in your case?
Well, I think I completely agree with Thierry. A very important thing is stick to your strategy. Don't change strategy because you're worried about it. So stick to your company strategy. Of course, it helps if the company is healthful, because you can go through. And then try to make a special promotion, in our case, promotion activities, concession, but without taking away the core business. In our case, is of course the media presence. So I never, during this period, we never cut the media. But we cut perhaps other not priority things. But for the consumer, we stayed like we always stayed.
So just the specifics, just to be clear, when you say, you mean advertising. The promotion would be variable, but the advertising you would keep consistent.
Promotion is for me like doing something in the shop, promotional activities. So I said, but the advertising,
the classic media,
is very important that you stick to the classic media. And as Thierry said very well, there are lots of companies who the easiest thing to cut is this.
Sure.
But it could have a bad consequence. So I would say stick to the strategy. Don't reduce your core strategy in advertising, recruiting, because you want to recruit and you want to fidelize. And this is through classic media, which is going
consistency.
And of course, you stay with your products and you do the launching of products, whatever. But again, we both are lucky. We are not we have got strong companies behind us.
Would you share that?
Yes, absolutely. Don't get distracted. I would say is the main thing. Really reduce, you know, all the unnecessary development that maybe you have tried in easy time. I think is the most important thing. Quality is reassuring. So try to put forward the quality of your product, the quality of your design, creativity. I think one thing very important, you know, talking about Switzerland, is to try to surprise the customer. So be creative and try to offer something different to your customer.
So that means new product development. When you say creativity, what do you mean? You mean the way in which you might present an existing product?
No, never stop.
Something new.
You know, creativity is part of the strategy of the brand. Obviously, it's very important to come back every season with new product. So try to be even more innovative in terms of, you know, the functionality of your product, the usage of your product, the design, the style of your product. It's very important because then, you know, you can surprise, you can engage with the customer, because at the end of the day, this is the most important thing, is to keep the engagement with the customer.
Well, we could continue the conversation, I think, on more morning because it's fascinating and just listening. And of course, the longer we talk, the deeper I drill into things that they might not want to talk about. So I just wanted to say, again, thank you to Swiss Style and to Dukascopy Television for making this possible. We'll be back again with another program with interesting people in the studio. And that's it for today. Have a good day.